as we enter the grand final of the WardiTV Spring Championship European Regionals. In the bottom right-hand corner, the blue Protoss player from Storm Gaming, this is MaxPax. And in the top left, our red Zerg for this best of 5 is going to be Kaizi Gaming's Reynor. And yeah, okay, Reynor had a pretty smooth run over here, avoided having to play Clem in the semis as Clem was knocked down by Special. And yeah, Reynor didn't even play, I think, 25, maybe. He probably played about 30 minutes of game time in the playoffs so far. And his group games weren't much longer. So he's had a pretty simple, quick run so far. MaxPax, tougher time in the semis against Ratata. But maybe that just means he's all warmed up to play Reynor right here as we start up on Pride of Altaris for map 1. MaxPax opting to veto Curious Minds rather than Pride. So maybe, like I was kind of alluding to before the game, we're going to see something gold base here. Or some sort of plan that works on Pride and otherwise, you know, it's got something of a special ring to it. So we'll see what it turns out to be in this map, number 1 at least. Again, I was prepping the Twitch chat for this moment. I was letting them know that this one might be on YouTube because it's the finals of an event. You got your Reynor in there, you got your MaxPax. I'm sure we can clickbait that a little bit at the very least. So if you are watching on YouTube, just wanted to say hello. Thanks for watching, and of course, don't forget to subscribe if you do enjoy the content so you can see more. Ring the bell, because apparently loads of people lately in the comments have been telling me that they're subscribed and they don't get told anything about any of my uploads. So ring the bell. Make sure you can come back again and obviously like the video to help more people see more wonderful StarCraft. But with the YouTube shoutouts aside and this probe scouting, we see the gold base are dropping in from MaxPax over on the bottom right. So it is going to be that gold base initially, and MaxPax will be playing from there as this probe now begins to leave the base. And away we go. We do have an interesting choice then from MaxPax as to how aggressive he'll be off that gold. Or if he just wants to try and defend the gold and then do something later on. The problem with the gold base is it's very in the open, it's very far forward. Reynor's going to play no gold at all just yet. A lot of the time when you take a gold, you know, Zergs will try and bust it down, try and stop you from ever really benefiting from it. Because a gold-based Protoss can power up some pretty deadly attacks. Their economy is going to come into play, you know, sooner than it usually would. They can cut probes earlier while, you know, still be on, the same eco because the gold mineral boost. And that just powers up a lot of their timings and a lot of those aggressive all-ins that Protoss also love to throw into play. These first adepts are going to go shading up into the main, but they're going to find a pretty good defense here. Queen's starting to chase down. Lings came in quickly. I'm not going to see the adepts die. We will force a minor drone pull, and we get one drone. We do shade out alive, so you can't really complain or argue at that. Warp gate continues through as drones continue to produce. Ling speed is about halfway done, and the Queen is just going to continue up as well. So this is going to be seeing the battery building up on the side of MaxPax 2, making sure he's going to be prepped for defense on the third base because you're expecting some kind of aggression. We're going up to a lot of adepts. MaxPax doing a build he really does like to do just in general. 3 gates, and then typically he plays into a delayed Twilight Council and a delayed Glaives. So he does end up playing Glaved Adepts. It just happens much later. Now he actually goes Robo here before we see a Twilight Council, so that maybe doesn't mean Glaives, and perhaps something else coming through. I'm very excited. Again, I mean, I usually talk about this build with him obviously not having the gold base. This could just be like a very quick, like 2 Immortal all-in with a Robo so quickly and 3 gates up. You have to kind of think that might be the option, because you're not going to do something long enough that's going to mean you want gateway upgrades. I have to think like a Prism, an Immortal, and just, you know, probably 2 Immortals, a Prism, and you just go and attack. And you just harass with these Adepts, and one of the main things you'll be looking for is to try and force too many units early to stop the drone count from going up. Obviously, try and deal some damage would be great as well. And if you can do that early, then it's going to power up your attack, which, you know, if you're meant to have more drones to typically deal with that attack, then you're going to be in trouble. So we'll see. We're almost at 42 drones right now. 42 is not a bad number. He's going to go a little bit higher. But of course, I mean, if you're going against this attack of MaxPax, really, you would have liked to go drone, drone, drone. Like, any drones you build, the sooner you build them, the better it would have been here. So, Any drones you're seeing now would have much rather been before a lot of those extra lings that just never really did anything. He had the lings and roaches already pushed back the adepts. He just thought it was going to get worse because he thought it was about to be glaives, right? Twilight is going to be finishing here, so MaxPax maybe does have a longer-term plan. He will have the Prism, though, and he does have an Immortal, so there's going to be some amount of aggression with then the Twilight behind it to set up from there. I'm just going to be seeing the 3 drones going down from there. It's going to be 2 drones killed already. The Stalkers in the center get rid of an Overlord. And just going to be seeing the Adepts just going to be able to chase a Roach away. As we do see these Adepts coming through. A couple Force Fields going down. I'm just going to be seeing these Adepts continue to pull backwards. Stalkers and Immortal continue to fight. I mean, Reynolds just happy to jump on this. The Micro on the Prism's been decent, but those Lings are just constantly on top of units. And they are putting in freaking work. The Prism is forced back. And MaxPax has basically no units left over after that. Resources lost terrible for him. Yeah, this just didn't work out at all. It's so weird to go Glaives now so late. I mean, especially then he got caught pushing. Maybe he never wanted to push and he was going to wait for Glaives later, but it just feels like the ordering of everything has been so strange. And now we're basically just Reynor on the offensive. MaxPax needs to defend this somehow, and that just ain't going to be easy. Batteries. There is one in the back of the mineral line here already. Love those barrels and warping in at depth, of course. They can't dodge those barrels, so it's guaranteed damage. We're now going to try and barrel down the super battery, but we don't have enough barrels to do it all at once. So it will eventually go down. It's got a good amount of healing out, and it's actually still worth killing because you cancel a few seconds of super battery, and you also get rid of the full energy battery that would have existed after that. MaxPax doing what he can micro-wise, but Reynor, I think, with the right on the map, is just going to find himself too far ahead. And again, if Glaives was done, maybe we could be talking about a different game with these Immortals microing and the Adepts putting out some better damage, but without, Glaives only just finishing now, there's not even an Adept left on the map. Okay, I lied. There's 4 Adepts on the map somewhere. 16 probes already fell as Reynor takes a 10 worker lead off this. He's only on a 20 army supply lead. Are 3 Immortals enough to maybe make this work? There goes the power to the Robo facility. So you're going to be stuck with just the 3 Immortals, but they're microing really well so far. I mean, just losing the 9 extra workers since we last talked about work counts obviously hurts a lot, because now you're not benefiting from this gold base at all, and it does feel like Reynor should be able to overwhelm. Dark Shrine coming in at a good time as well, by the way, so... sorry, Lair coming in at a good time to deal with the Dark Shrine as well, so Overseer should be available. These Immortals are going huge, I'm not going to lie, but I don't think you recover from losing the Nexus, and that seems like an inevitability here. There's a couple more shots. Nexus on the gold base falls. MaxPax's army supply is kind of even with Reynor. Okay. If these DTs can just become a couple Archons, I could get behind that. You might be wondering, why did you take this base as a 3rd base? Because obviously he has the natural, which is more easily protected, but because that natural is fully walled, I think the idea is he can saturate that base on the low ground more easily with the gold. Because then you have... the gold's going to mine out sooner, so you can send workers from there to that high ground base, rather than you obviously can't do that on the natural if the natural is fully walled, right? Reynor is starting to retake 8 army supply lead. As a Depth Shade forward, they're going after those Ravagers. We're on a big old push to try and basically end this game with an all-in as MaxPax. His push must win outright here. With only 1 base left alive, and that being his main, he has no other option than to just send it right now and to try and make this work. Would you ever include just a few DTs in your main army versus Zerg? You can do. I mean, a couple of DTs is always going to be nice if they don't have like an Overseer with them. Like 1 or 2. You see it quite often actually if DTs are up, especially in later stages of the game. The problem is early game, it's just, if they're going to have an Overseer, it's just too expensive, early on. Whereas later in the game, it's like, it's not expensive to have 1 DT in there for the chance they don't have an Overseer, right? And typically you have DTs that sometimes were harassed and they got brought back, and now they're just with the army to fight as well, so... yeah, you get it. I mean, there's times where DTs actually do straight up win fights, because it's, more than that, it gets very serious, MaxPax type and GG. So yeah. But early in the game, obviously, the earlier you do it, the more it's like very expensive. The earlier it is, the more expensive it is, and the reward is obviously then... And we are going to begin in the bottom right with the blue Protoss player from Storm Gaming. Down a map, it is MaxPax, obviously down a map, and trying, like I say, last game it didn't feel like it came together at all. You know, but definitely chances for that to change going into a map number 2. Obviously, this map a little less weird. For example, there's still a gold base, but not one you're going to rush off to at the start of the game as the Protoss, like people do on Pride, because Pride is that typically good map for Zerg, if you don't try and take advantage of the gold in some way. Bottom left, our red Zerg is going to be Reynor from Kaizi Gaming. That said, I mean, when Pride first came out, a lot of Zergs were saying the only reason Pride is good is because there is a gold base we can use against Protoss if they try and turtle and stuff. Obviously, that was actually in a different meta. And now I feel like with a lot of the Sky Toss stuff not really being as popular a choice, Pride definitely kind of shifts towards kind of being a Zerg map in that ZvP matchup as well. Especially if the Zergs can get the gold base up and running, which they can usually do much more easily than the Protoss players. They can have a very good time. Hatch gas and waiting on that beautiful little spawning pool. MaxPax does not get the probe across anyway near in time to block. That's obviously a decision from him to scout at this sort of time rather than earlier to try and block. So he probably knew that, but obviously still wants to get across to be like, okay, this is a hatchery first. Make sure I'm not being 12 pooled or anything I need information against. And of course, this probe can still be very annoying, just chipping at minerals. You can see he's waiting and waiting, and he goes to mine minerals the moment drones get to the mineral patch. And so it forces Reynor to micro against this probe, because otherwise his drones are going to run to a different patch. It's going to mess up the 2 worker stack mining that's happening on that other patch as well. And that's what Reynor's trying to micro against. This really is the early game micro war. And again, if you don't fight against it, it's surprising how much it can do to kind of offset your mineral mining and so on. So yeah, I mean, MaxPax doing a good job of harassing. Reynor doing a pretty good job of minimizing the effect of that harass. It's one of those things, you know, early game, not much else to put your, APM into. So you may as well put it into this little bit of early game mineral warfare. That's one of those little tiny things that if you're just on the ladder, you guys probably don't need to worry about it too much. But if you're Reynor and MaxPax, and just a high-end player in general, you probably should worry about that stuff, because again, it kind of is under your control. You can absolutely do something about it. Ling speed coming in from Reynor. Probe is going to move all the way back home, get back to the natural, drop some minerals off, and get to mining. As the Adept will begin to move on forward as well, so Adept is going to shade out onto the map. Link speed is about halfway done at the moment. And, yeah, but we'll wait. I mean, with the Stargate coming through, not too surprised to see a Stargate built. Let's see what comes from that. As everything comes in, there's a couple of things still just nibbling on the low ground, so low ground rocks being picked away at. A Void Ray starting up already. Warp Gate's halfway along. And the Lings will get rid of that set of rocks right there. Do have Queen production continuing through Lings. Ling speed is continuing up as well. Yeah, no, I don't have much to say actually. I feel like it's rare I've been at a loss for words today. Everybody's just been talking nonsense, but getting a bit more serious in the finals, and there really is a few moments of just getting developed, players making their choices. Yeah, the Evo is going to be cool. I would imagine that's going to be an early melee upgrade from Reynor. Doesn't have the gas for Carapace right away. Missiles this soon would be weird. So early melee upgrade, going to play Ling heavy. I wonder exactly what style. You know, sometimes Reynor cranks out like some crazy attacks. Like sometimes he opens up, he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play like, you know, pure Ling Bane and try and win with this. And, you know, in a tournament like this one, I can see Reynor trying the crazy stuff. MaxPax is pretty good, though. It'd be kind of surprising to see him, like, do it against MaxPax, but, you know, melee upgrade early. We'll see what he chooses, as it is going to be extra Stargates from MaxPax. So, he is going to try something with a few Void Rays and setting up from there. Now, I was kind of talking about this in the game where MaxPax went Mass Phoenix against Ratata. But if you're going to go for this melee style, you're going to have a lot of Lings, and that means that actually the Void Rays can obviously shoot the Lings, but they don't kill Lings quickly. So there's a good chance as Reynor you're going to be able to do a bit of overwhelming on the ground and potentially get in and get some real good damage done with Ling Bane and really kind of force a difficult time defending the third. As MaxPax, you know, if you see the Lings, you're probably looking towards making sure you have batteries and cannons in place to help you just really deal damage to the Lings and to really buy time for the Void Rays to chew through their numbers. Queen's just putting some damage out, and this Oracle actually about to get intercepted by the other two Queens. Yeah, Bendy didn't want to watch it, but yeah, those two Queens coming in from the top side, got that snipe on that Oracle, so that was cool movement out of Reynor, and MaxPax will go down an Oracle. Frustrating, because now you just don't get scouting information as easily, you don't know what's going on as much, and obviously those are things which you'd typically like to have, you know, under your control. And that melee upgrade is done so soon. As Reynor, I mean, Reynor's not been droning like crazy. You know, he has been making a few units here and there, and you know, it's not been like he's just gone like straight to like 80 plus drones. He's gonna drop a Spire as the lair is done. He's got a second Evo chamber. I imagine there's a fairly good chance we see a +2 melee upgrade or something. I imagine. I'd be kind of surprised if we didn't. You're not going to go carriers right now as MaxPax. Well, in this case, Reynor just wants to play Corruptiling, right? Corruptiling Bane. You don't really want to go into any mutas here. You know, it's one of those things where sometimes the mutas can do okay because the voids are kind of slow initially, and the carriers obviously aren't always going to be in position. And then eventually you're going to be... There's going to be Corruptors at the end of the day here no matter what. We could go for maybe a handful of mutas. There's Twilight and a Forge on the way now from MaxPax to begin setting up the ground army. When you go for this air army early, you are missing the support that makes the overall Protoss composition scary later into the game. And that is the ability to get charge lot run-bys, the ability to have Archons kind of join in the fray and that splash damage. Just that kind of protection on the ground. As you play against such like a Ling Bane heavy army, sometimes you even see Storm being a pretty big factor and a pretty big choice that players make too. 8 mutas start up from Reynor, so you will go mutas early. And hey, thank you so much Showtime for the 30-month resub. I'm going to go 11 mutas. Reynor's one of these guys that actually really made mutas work against, you know, when Void Ray styles were a thing at first. A lot of people were like, I always thought people would make a Spire and try and make mutas. I was like, why? This is so dumb. And I saw Reynor do it, and I was doing the same thing. I remember it quite clearly. It was on... oh, what's that map? It was on Jagannatha, I think, maybe. And I just remember watching. I was like, man, I was doing my talk. I was like, oh yeah, guys, like I don't know why they do this. And then he just made it look broken because he was just so good at directing where that Protoss army was and where it couldn't be. And he's just very good at it now. Let's see what he does here. As he does see the carriers with the mutas, we're going to start picking our way through a few pros. You get a pylon that doesn't depower much of importance. First Void Ray showing up. We're going to start launching Lings at the 3rd base. And this is where you kind of ask yourself, well, how well defended is MaxPax going to be for stuff like this? Well, we started warping some Zealots. The Banes will crash through those and give Lings access to the mineral line. The Banes actually could just go for the mineral line as well. They got stuck a little bit. The Lings blocked them. Yeah, Banes get in. Those Zealots won't last long. 8 probes dead already. The probes are coming back, and the Lings are still here with +2 melee. They're going to shred. Lings getting the sentry as well. I mean, it's not helping too much. But Reynor is staying maxed out, of course, and that is a pretty big deal in all of this right now as we continue through. 27 probes have gone down so far. 30 more Lings coming up. Mutalisks still coming in. +1 flyer attack, +1 carapace, and +2 fly attack now starting. +1 fly attack finished. I mean, MaxPax about to hit +2 air weapons. The mutas find the carriers. They seem to think they can dive on this, so in they go. First carrier takes a while to go down. We are going to rally more mutas in, and we are going for the kills. Lings hitting the top right. Archon's great against Lings, but not if they get surrounded as the Void Rays coming in as a response. Is this enough? We're now going to start diving on Void Rays with the Mutalisks. I mean, the muta numbers have taken a hit here. Only 7 probes went down. Reynor rebuilt, and of course 96 drones allows him to do this. His economy is monumental in this game, and it's a huge reason why you can just throw units at your opponent because you bounce back, rebuilding so quickly. All of his units are built around having lots of lava and lots of money to just replenish and go again. A lot of the time hoping to replenish and go again before your opponent's really ready for it. The mutas dive for the Archons as well. This is a very brave fight, and I think a misplaced one from Reynor. The Archons did great here. The mutas melted, and the carriers got there to add some extra damage too. Do you think MaxPax is looking good right now? That defense makes me kind of have a little bit of hope, because that's an attack which Reynor doesn't do a lot of damage with. And in an attack, he doesn't do a lot of damage. Suddenly, MaxPax gets a little bit of confidence and a little bit of momentum with his army. And that's one thing you're never really meant to give against this Protoss army when you're playing this style as Reynor. He's going to jump on a cannon over here, and he's going to continue to hit probes. He wants to force MaxPax to be as all-in as possible if he commits across the map like this. It's not impossible for Reynor to defend, but he doesn't want to defend this and then have to deal with wave after wave and reinforcements. The Banes are going to waddle forward. They don't have Bane speed yet. They are going to get through the Archons on the ground. There were Corruptors in production to go for the carriers. The two Archons bottom side actually did survive. I didn't see those ones initially, but they didn't take the brunt of the Bane lane attacks. The Corruptors aren't staying alive long enough because they're just rallying in. I think MaxPax doesn't have enough. I mean, the 3 carriers and the Archon live, but 7 new Corruptors. We are building Phoenix to try and chase down the Mutas. Only 49 probes to 96 drones, and the fact that MaxPax didn't have enough to just go in and kill Reynor now means that he's going to be playing run around, and that just gives Reynor's huge economy plenty of time to rebuild, replenish, max back out. There's the Ultra Cavern. I kind of mentioned the Ultra Cavern for the previous series again, MaxPax Rattata, and Rattata is playing kind of this, like Ling Corruptor in a way. The Ultras are kind of that next step because they're that little bit better at fighting on the ground. They're pretty good against Archons and Zealots. It kind of forces maybe even a response from MaxPax to think about getting a Robo and some Immortals out. So I like the Ultras. They help a lot on the ground, and it just means that the ground force has to focus on sometimes the ground units rather than, you know, saying, oh, my Archons just get to freely fight your Corruptors. This game is not done. MaxPax is replenishing his own economy. 67 probes already back up and running. Army supply still dead even. But of course, Reynor's putting a lot of money into attacking right now. And as he finishes the Ultra Cavern, you've got 1.5k 700 gas in the bank. And that just means you've got the chance to build a bunch of Ultras all at once. Start that Chitin is playing. And that's what he's waiting for. So his supply is going to, you know, skyrocket a little bit here as he was saving up. He was banking for the structures to finish up there. Actually, I remember him playing, I believe, I don't know if it was this kind of stuff. I remember winning with, you know, armies like this against Showtime on this map, I want to say. He definitely won against Gung Fu Bando with, like, ridiculous just mass-sling Bane on Blackburn. There's been some great games when Reynor plays like this. I always feel like when he plays like this, it invites very fun games because it can be scrappy. It can create that essence of, like, oh my god, non-stop action, and oh my goodness, he's just holding on by the skin of his teeth, and, you know, how did he do that? It's always very entertaining StarCraft, you know, and always love these kind of styles. We crash through. The battery is something you don't really care about because right now you kind of just want to go and hit probes. One Baneling will blow up any amount of probes in its range because of the +2 melee. Actually turned around on the Zealots a little bit as well. Lovely abduct, although the plan probably was 2 carriers rather than a carrier and an Archon. There's a lot of Archons on the ground, like I say. That's why the Ultras help. They're not going to be taken down as easily as the Lings and the Banes. Archon's very good at tanking all of those. We are clearly looking for something a little extra here. The Ultras are going to engage in. The few Banes helping to splash. There's the abduct, just making sure that the Corruptors stay out of trouble. At this point, the Corruptors aren't going to have much to kill anymore. This is going to become kind of a ground army focus from MaxPax if he had the money to keep on going, but he does not, and Reynor takes a 2-0 lead. If he had that army or money to keep going, he would focus on ground, so the Corruptors, they then take that role of, I'm going to peel on this base, I'm going to peel on that base, you know, I'm just going to kill you here, kill you there, do all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it doesn't come down to that, but just wanted to explain what happens. That is why. Bottom right, down 0-2, looking to bounce back. He is the max of the packs. It's MaxPax. Top left, Red Zerg. He's the Ray to the Nor. He's Reynor. Those are the worst intros I've ever done. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta commit to something you don't think is good, just to remind you of when you do good things. Sometimes you gotta do the bad things to really appreciate when some things you know, help you differentiate. I think so, at least. I'd sub, but ads are my favorite content. You don't want to lose them. But you know what? Beautiful. Watch the ads. If they're your favorite content, if they are what keep you coming back, you watch as many ads as you want to watch. I'm not gonna make you change up your ways. I'm not gonna make you do things you don't want to do. This probe is this probe is like, wait, what? And then Reynor just takes a freaking 18 hatch. You don't see an 18 hatch a lot nowadays, right? Usually you go like an earlier hatch to get it down before the probe, but Reynor's later hatch here gets to just go down on the natural, so getting that going. I mean, it's nice to take an 18 hatch, 2 more drones earlier in the game. It's a little bit more eco-focused. Ah, he did have the drone on the map. I wonder if that was part of it. There are ways to deal with that. Well, like I say, you guys are very free to use adblock, but if you guys are like, I'm not seeing that, I'm using adblock, I will just sing and do things I know are not good. Like, I will just do things that I know are not pleasant for you guys to listen to as punishment. But then, I mean, it's not really fair because then the subs have to listen as well. Ah, but I already got that money, right, guys? Evil laugh insert here. Can we get a bit of epic, like... There you go. Big old evil laugh. That sounded real evil to me. You want to know what the best part is, guys? Baited you all into like 50 more subs today. You just didn't even have to ladder for it. that really is evil laugh time. Oh, Sir Wiggleston, thank you so much for the subscription. Welcome to the WardiTV family. Thank you so very much. And the dad gonna go chasing after the drone. Stop, Wardy, you're scaring me. But it's a good. I tell you what, it's a good thing I turned the pitch down because I was about to do it without turning the pitch down, and then it would have sounded like this. Oh god, that's terrifying. Oh my goodness, that sounds like something from my nightmares. Oh my god. Like, I kind of want to put it on again because it sounded truly terrifying, but I kind of don't at the same time, you know. Genuinely just scared myself. Robo facility opening from MaxPax. I'd say 9 times out of 10, Robos just have to be aggressive in this matchup because what are you getting out of it if not a Prism, Immortals, and just looking to fight early? Like, it's just so rarely there's something good from a Robo facility that isn't just like fighting. Oh, he's already got the Twilight Council. I'm so busy pressing buttons to make weird sounds I didn't see the Twilight Council. So it's a Glaze Opener. Great vision there, Wardy, well spotted. Well, this is just going to be good old 4-gate Glaze. That's a lot more normal. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. This is very normal. This is very natural. Cool. Awesome. So, Rotron, a few extra drones and Blissful missiles coming up. Just going to be seeing the trip spread all coming out at the moment. Obviously, with the 4-gate Glaze, you're going to be having a pretty, I mean, you're going to have a pretty nice attack, but you really do want to do something off this because you're kind of hard pinned into this. The follow-ups to this are trying to take a third, which doesn't go well if you lose the Adepts and you don't do damage, counterattack kills you. You can go Immortals and obviously try and go from there. We're going to go Stargate. Ooh, that's interesting. Reynor just cranking out the 2-base roaches as well. It's obviously pretty unique on its own accord. Never started up that 3rd hatchery. It's going to see the Queen. Lings, roaches coming in. The couple of Adepts is going to get pushed back. Obviously, damage on the Prism is nice. At this point, I mean, you see it's only 2 bases as MaxPax. You just don't want to commit into this, really. You want to make sure you've got whatever you need to defend, which I imagine is going to be Void Ray production. Debs is going to unload on the high ground. Queen's coming through, and the Prism is going to take some shots. And that is going to be the Adepts coming in to try and fight the Queens. And it's just going to be seeing the Adepts. Actually going to split up and go for a couple different mineral lines. As we're going to get rid of... yeah, 5 workers, 6 workers. Not bad. Getting something out of those as you have Phoenix initially, and now Reynor's going to go into the Hydras. Well, Prism is going to be heading to the top to try and keep up the pressure and try and get a little bit more done. Going to be seeing the Phoenix through the center of the map. Extra Phoenix coming in and an Immortal on the way as well. With the Phoenix follow-up, I mean, against the Hydras, I actually really don't know. This is such an odd build now, right? With Phoenix against Hydras. Reynor's going to the Infestation Pit, so he's going to gain access to the Hive Tech very early on here as well. Is he going to start rushing Lurkers? Against the Phoenix, I mean, Hydras are going to be pretty nice just to have. So it gets to this point where if you want to go Lurkers, obviously then you're kind of cutting down on Hydras and so on. So, gets a little bit wonky. Just going to see that Hive coming up already. Yeah, I mean, let's see if he does want to go Lurker Den or not. But what else can you do with the Hive? Vipers, but then Vipers are very exposed to these Phoenix. I mean, obviously Roach Hydra Vipers, not a crazy composition. I just don't really see a role for the Vipers right now. Phoenix going to find a couple of Hydras coming through down the ramp. Going to get some Overlords as well, so little supply blocks going off for the moment as well. Couple of drones still going down. Hydras are trying to chase the Phoenix a little bit. I mean, this is where the Hydras don't really want to be chasing Phoenix, though. These numbers are not looking good for them. Now, the Queen takes a little bit longer to fight, so the Hydra's got to catch up. Phoenix are trading pretty well. Let's check how many Phoenix die in a second, though. Once the engagement ends, one more dies. Okay, 3 Phoenix went down. It's 11 Hydras killed. Temple Archive is building on the side of MaxPax, so we'll get that Temple Archive started up. He's just slowly progressing from these Phoenix into that kind of nice ground composition. Reynor is going to go Vipers. I love to see what he ends up doing with these Vipers. As the Phoenix count gets a little bit lower, it's a bit more easy to keep the Vipers alive and actually use them and get something good out of them. So, obviously going into fights like this, abducting, important expensive units forward, like the Archons and the Immortals, stuff like that is where the Vipers will shine. Blinding Clouds could kind of get fun as well if you kind of Blinding Cloud the more expensive units and you force the Archons and Maws to potentially move further forward to attack. So there are options with the Vipers, and I think the Vipers were the natural step with the Hive so soon. Lurkers being rushed, especially with the Phoenix up, I don't think was necessary. Although now the Lurkers won't be ready for this fight, so Reynor is going to be just basically having Roach Hydra Viper on the defensive here. First Queen getting caught. There are transfusions available. He's not going to drop one just yet, though, as the Hydra's going to turn. And this attack from MaxPax is perhaps going to hit pretty hard. As the Abduct gets rid of one Archon immediately, and that's the power of those Abducts. Again, you got to be careful, though, again, with those Vipers right now, because the Phoenix will shred them if given the chance. And the Phoenix, now they're going to lift up some of these Ravagers. The Vipers are going to turn back around. What can they do to this? +2 missiles in play here for Reynor, and honestly, his army on the ground is just not dying. It just feels like the DPS was not there for MaxPax to work his way through this. And 74 to 20, well, the 30 army supply? Jeez. That is Reynor in a very good spot after this. And he starts up Seismic Spine, so he's got Lurkers ready for the transition too. Starts to drone up at 4th base. I mean, his worker count's terrible. I mean, in a way, why was MaxPax the one attacking? 75 probes coming out of this. It's not like he killed a lot of drones during that fight, right? Yeah, MaxPax maybe even fighting a fight he didn't need to fight. How many times can you say fight in one sentence? Extra High Templar will warp in. The Seismic Spines is still halfway done. And, well, Roach is back up into the main base. A Storm going through about halfway along. Immortal, High Templar. All producing. Storm was nice because you're going to have High Templars to feed back the Vipers. Obviously against the Hydra, Storm's nice. It can chip through Lurkers a little bit as well, help the Immortals have less hits to take them down, as the Immortals will really be the heavy hitters on Lurkers, with the bonus damage to the Armored. And start to work down the right, so Reynor, with the Seismic Spines finished by the way, so no Adaptive Talons, so no speed or burrow speed, but he will have the range on these Lurkers, so setting up a siege here, yeah, it's going to force an awkward fight. You've got to kind of fight into that. Storm not yet done. A few more moments on that. Parasite Bomb on the Phoenix initially, so the Viper just getting a cast from afar. The Lurkers actually doing okay for themselves, as I think MaxPax held position a little bit too far forward there. A few Zealots will start to counter-attack, as we did abduct an Archon. And the Zealots will start to break through into a mineral line, although MaxPax clearly busy on his own side of the map. Not all 4 Zealots went forward straight away. The Roaches move down, these Zealots will die, and everything else will just move back up the right side. I was just going to be seeing the Zealot is actually one left over. getting a good amount of extra kills at the end here. So once again, Reynor's economy going to be a little stuck. 70 drones. He's obviously going to rebuild back to 80, but again, just slowed down, meaning that Reynor can't establish that nice big bank Zergs like to work with, because they love to have a big bank, which can replenish an army very quickly. That's typically how they play. I love these abducts, I gotta say. He's just so good at finding, like, the abduct from, like, max range almost. Now the feedbacks go down on one of the two Vipers. The other one still has energy. Storm's coming down. The last high tempo with energy gets killed. Man, the lurker damage is insane. And the chase potential here is pretty good too. No, we stop. Oh, is that the right call? I'm not sure, because he was about to be off creep. Would he not have been able to keep on running off creep against this army? I feel like Reynor wouldn't have been able to chase much further than he was already chasing. I feel like he might have saved more if he kept on running, but it's a split-second decision-making that you got to go for. MaxPax, really, multiple fights which he initiated that just did not work in this game. It really just did not work at all. Super battery pops up. Cannon is being healed. Archon's coming through and just going to be seeing the lurkers just going to be firing away. The Archon taking damage. The Immortals pushed back. The High Templar pushed back. One more Corrosive Vial coming through here. We are going to be continuing to fight through this at the moment. It's going to be tough. With this amount of lurkers, it just doesn't feel... It's just rough, because you're kind of fighting through the choke point to get on top of these lurkers at this stage too, right? Prism can't find an opening either. There's a single Zealot going after some Queens. Prism very low HP, getting out of there alive at least, but I mean, best it can do is warp in to run in units from the right side, flank onto the bases. I'm sure at that point Reynor will be prepared. Another little abduct. Look at the blinding clouds! Oh man, the units walk so far forward because of the blinding clouds, right into reach of every lurker. GG. Well, nothing. We'll never know what MaxPax was going to say well for. I was going to say well played, but there's no plate there. Reynor 3-0. I mean, a really funky game number 3, but just in general, kind of a cool series from Reynor. A bunch of different styles, looked very good with a lot of them. And MaxPax struggling a bit.